Welcome, cellar dwellers, to the Matthew Street channel. I am your host, Matthew Street, and I really appreciate you being here live from my cavern in my parents' basement. Thank you. And folks, as you know, any of you that have watched my channel for a long time know by now, as a young boy in 1964, my parents, Mom and Dad Street, bought me some Beatle albums, and it changed my life forever. Now, the Beatles were my first love of music. They are my #1 artist of all time, and of course the solo Beatles as well. And through the 60s, as a young boy growing up, I got into other pop and rock and roll acts. I remember getting the Kinks and some Monkees and some Stones, a lot of 60s pop, a lot of 45s and stuff from that era of 60s sunshine pop, rock and roll, pop music. I mean, the 60s, let's face it, that is the time when the most popular music was also the best music. Let's be honest about it. And I got into Elvis in the late 60s. Remember, I told you about 68 or so during the comeback special. That was my time for Elvis. Now, as the 70s dawned, and I was still a young boy, not quite a teenager yet, I still was getting into a lot of AM pop and rock, early power pop stuff like the Raspberries, and I think I had a couple of 45s from Badfinger, so they were like my first two forays into power pop, as it were. I was also heavily into the solo Beatles at the time, and still a major fanatic when it came to the Beatles themselves. I mean, I was just getting and buying and listening to everything I could that had to do with the Beatles as a band. But again, I was still a little young, so as I became into my teenage years, as it were, the first act, or the first musical artist or band, whatever you want to call it, that I got into that was like a brand new band, they were new, they were fresh, I could call them my own, was Cheap Trick. Cheap Trick was that band, was that artist, that as a young teen, I fell in love with them as a band, as a new band, a new act, as it were. They were from Rockford, Illinois, and I just fell in love with this act. They just encompassed everything that I loved up to that point. When you take the Beatles, British invasion music, American pop music, American rock and roll, early power pop like Badfinger and the Raspberries, Cheap Trick encompassed all of that glory and splendor for me. They were the act. They were it. They were, they were just that artist that just said, this is my music. This is Matt Street's music. I own it. It's mine. And that's how I felt. And although the Beatles and all the other music that preceded it will always be a love of mine, the Beatles will always be #1, as you know from watching my channel, Cheap Trick are right up there, folks. They, almost 45 years later, as a fan of this band, I've seen them live like numerous times and love every opportunity I have the chance to see them. I have everything they've ever put out. I'm talking vinyl. If I can get vinyl, I get it. Even the later stuff that wasn't released on vinyl initially, when it does eventually come out on vinyl, and not everything is available on vinyl, but I grab it, I get it. And I have mementos of Cheap Trick all over the place. I have t-shirts from Cheap Trick, as you can see. I mean, at age 60, I'm still like a giddy little teenager when it comes to Cheap Trick. They're still my band. They're still that act that can still set me on fire, albeit many other bands too, and certainly the Beatles. I have to keep saying that. But Cheap Trick is that band they're my go-to guys. And I have a prized couple of autographs from them. They signed a tour book for me many, many years ago. But my most prized Cheap Trick possession is right behind me. You always see it over my shoulder here. You can't see it all because it's obstructed a little bit by Paul McCartney, a little Ringo, and Del Griffith back here. But I have a professionally framed picture back there from the 2016 Hall of Fame entry, when Cheap Trick were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That picture back there is signed by all 4 original members of Cheap Trick, as I said, professionally framed from 2016 And that's my prized possession, Cheap Trick. I also have a very nice, which I've shown it before in past videos, but it's hanging on a wall over there. I have a platinum framed version of the Dream Police album, signifying its, I don't know how many million in sales and whatnot. So I have a framed album with a nice plaque under it. It's beautiful. I've shown it before in past Cheap Trick videos, and that's another one of my prized possessions. So this band means a lot to me. Now, not too long ago, there's one item which I didn't get. Back in 2013, it was originally released. It was out of print for many, many years. And it was called Cheap Trick, The Complete Epic Albums Collection. Now, I don't have this on vinyl. I never had it on CD. I don't even know if a vinyl came out of this before. If it does, I will get it. I'm not sure if it's on vinyl. I never did get this, okay? I don't know why. I don't know what happened. Here's the side. There's the back. Nice, like 2-inch thick box. Very beautiful package. Never got this back in 2013 when it first came out. Now, I was notified not too long ago by a good friend of mine, Stephen Schnee. You may have heard of him. Hello, Stephen. And Stephen said, hey, just so you know, I think the Cheap Trick Complete Epics Albums Collection is being reissued by a different company. I mean, they're still maintaining the Epic and Sony Music Legacy logos on the back here, but this other company called Music Today out of the Netherlands is reissuing this package. And I said, I'm all over that. I will check it out. And sure enough, there's several outlets where you can get this, folks. It was just released, or reissued, I should say, on January 28th, I want to say, of this year. January 28th, 2022, Music on CD out of the Netherlands has reissued this package, this beautiful package. So there's several different outlets where you can get it. If you go to eBay and try to get one of the original out-of-print editions, the first run of this thing, it costs crazy money, absolute crazy money. But this new one, I went to Amazon. Now, I've seen it a couple of dollars cheaper here and there, but Amazon was just convenient and easy for me, and it was only 60 bucks. The cheapest I've seen it is like 57, 58. I haven't seen it too much cheaper than that, but I just paid the $60 because Amazon's convenient for me. It's all one click, and I picked up this set, and it's beautiful. You get 11 studio albums, all original epic releases of Cheap Trick, all remastered. You get one EP called Found All the Parts, and you get a double live CD of Cheap Trick at Budokan. So, as you know, it was originally released in the U.S. in early '79 as a single album. You're getting the full double album here, which is fantastic. You absolutely want it that way. All remastered, okay? Now, I love all the stuff that came out of the Epic releases. This one only goes up to 1990 with the Busted album. There are several studio albums after this. In 1994, you had Woke Up With a Monster. In 97, you had the self-titled Cheap Trick, Part 2, self-titled. The first was in 77. 2003, Special One. You have 2006, Rockford. 2009, The Latest, which was the final one with Bunny Carlos. In 2016, they came back with Bang Zoom Crazy Hello with Rick's son, Dax Nielsen, on drums. And then you had 2017, only a year later, with We're All Right. And then in 2017, during the Christmas season, they released Christmas, Christmas. And their most recent outstanding studio album came out last year, 2021. It's called In Another World. They're all absolutely fantastic album, folks. I have every one of them. They're great. But unfortunately, they're not in a package like this because they were not epic releases. As I said, the final Epic album was Busted in 1990. Now, there's several live sets you can get, beginning with at Budokan for Cheap Trick, numerous compilations. But personally, for me, I love having this set all in one box. I have all these on the original CDs already. I'm going to put those in storage somewhere because these are all remastered and beautiful, and they're just so easy to store, compact, and I still have the original packages. I'm going to keep them. I'm going to save them. I still have the vinyl of the original Epic albums, but this is going to be a beautiful little set to keep right here in my music room. So let me show you everything and tell you a little bit about it. First, the CDs themselves are very basic, okay? You're getting the original cover art, like here's the first one, Cheap Trick, all right? But you're not getting much in the way of, you know, internal, like, sleeve pictures or anything like that. It's just pretty much, I'll just show you one CD. The straight CD is what you get on each one. And they start with the original early Epic label, and then it develops as it goes. The label changes as the Epic label changed during Cheap Trick's album releases. So you get the first one. Now, let me say this. It's only like the first 4 or 5 studio albums where they throw on some extra bonus cuts. So you get 3 or 4, 2 to 3, 4 extra bonus cuts on the first 4 or 5 studio albums. For some reason after that, it's just the straight albums. You don't get any bonus cuts, okay? But I'm telling you, if you're, you know, new to Cheap Trick or you want to upgrade your original CD releases, I highly recommend this box set. Cheap Trick in color. Now, if it was an original gatefold, when it was released, they replicate that with this CD set. Only if it was an originally released as a gatefold. Heaven Tonight, which was not a gatefold. And here's still the older label, the older Epic label. Cheap Trick, the complete Budokan, and they do give you a gatefold. Okay. Dream Police, again, originally a gatefold, so they replicate it here. The EP they released, Found All the Parts. And again, let me show you how the label's starting to change a little bit here. Well, this one's completely different, but I'll show you on the next one. The one produced by George Martin, All Shook Up. And the last one with Tom Peterson on bass and vocals for a while. And as I'll show you, see how the label changes, okay, to a different Epic label. One on One, first one with John Brandt on bass and vocals. Next Position Please. And these are all great albums, folks. There's not a stinker in the bunch. I'll show you my least favorite in a minute, but even on that one, I can find some material that I personally enjoy. Standing on the Edge. And my least favorite Cheap Trick album, The Doctor. And the final one with John Brandt on bass and vocals. And why do you say? Because for the next album, Lap of Luxury, Tom Peterson returned to the band. Original bassist and singer. Okay. And the final CD in the set, the 14th CD, is Busted from 1990. Okay. So there you have it, folks. Oh, and the book, 32-page book, which, like I said, they don't give you a lot of detail in the albums themselves. They just give you the straight front and back cover and the gatefold if it had one. But a 32-page book which gives you all the details on each album. Production, when it was recorded, if it has bonus tracks, what are the bonus tracks, what are they all about. So this book is a very nice little addition. Yeah, I guess it could have been a little thicker, had a little more information in there, but you know what? I'm not complaining. It's a good read as you're listening to these CDs. It does give you a lot of the details and other things that, you know, are very, you know, obviously important, especially for a new listener or a new fan of the band and you want to learn. There is a lot of great information in here. And, yeah. So only up to All Shook Up do you get a bonus track or two. Once you get to One on One and beyond, they're only the straight albums. All right, you don't get bonus tracks. I'll show you a couple more here. Won't belabor this too long. I'm sure many people have already left, but for you diehards, I want you to see what's in the book. Like I said, nice little book. All, you know, it's pretty much black and white, but it's still nice. Lap of Luxury era. And they do try to replicate, if And there's that one busted. If there was a picture on the inner sleeve of a particular album, for example, Lap of Luxury, this was an image that was on the inside of that original album when it came out. They will replicate the image for you and tell you this image is from the inside sleeve of Lap of Luxury or this album or that album. So there you go, folks. So again, beautiful, beautiful set, folks. You're getting 14 CDs total, spread over the studio albums, the one EP, and the one live at Budokan is a double CD. And I highly recommend this. And thanks to Steven for telling me that it was coming out. I'm not sure if it's also being reissued in vinyl or not. I'm going to check on that to see. But I got the CD set right away. I'm very happy I did. Folks, I think you'll really enjoy this. If you're new to Cheap Trick, here's a great place to start. $60, you can't go wrong. And you're getting everything released on Epic, those early Epic years up till 1990. Why not? Check it out. I think you'll become a fan. You listen to this, there's no way you're not going to become a fan of Cheap Trick. Thanks again, folks. So happy you're here. Cheap Trick, rock on. I love you all. And from the cavern in my parents' basement, this is Matthew Street saying thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.